you have to play at this level in order to make the varsity team. And so I'm like, how do we navigate this? After all of my years working with kids with like, any type of mental health issue, average is so good.
Welcome to the Athletes in Sports podcast. We have Lindsey Bomgren on today, and Lindsey is the founder of Nourish, Move, Love. Super into fitness, super into helping women, but probably also men with living healthy lifestyles. I'm one of those men. We did a workout this morning of yours.
I love it. But
Lindsey, you've got over 450,000 followers on Instagram and over 500,000 followers on YouTube. So just a huge following. You've got free health and wellness videos, and we're just super excited to have you on today.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here with you guys.
So let's just talk a little bit about what got you into fitness, like what inspired you to kind of go down this fitness path.
Totally. Been an athlete my whole life, grew up playing 3 sports. I went to a small high school and went on to play college volleyball and was just an athlete my whole life. And then I graduated, got a desk job. And it was the first time in my life no one was really pushing me in sports or pushing me to go to the gym. And I didn't love it. Like I didn't love how I looked, how I felt. I was just sitting at a desk for 8 hours. Like there was no more breaks of walking to class. It was just so sedentary. And so I was like, there's got to be something else. I need something to motivate me. I'm an athlete. I'm competitive, Enneagram 3 driven, achievement. So I got into marathon running, went full force, started running some marathons to the point that I got stress fractures in my feet. So then I flipped gears. And
how many marathons did you run?
I've ran like 4 fulls. And then I did a variety of halves, but did like 4 fulls. And then I flipped the switch and got into strength training and went and did some fitness competitions, which is actually when I was like working for Medcare, which is the company we've talked about that we know what, I don't know how to describe it.
My parents own the company.
Yes.
Medcare.
Yeah. So I used to, so that's kind of a funny like backstory. And so I did the fitness competition thing and I loved it, but it taught me a lot. And I went back at that time to get my own personal training certifications just because I wanted to know for my own knowledge. So I got my personal training certifications, loved training for something and like seeing how strong I could get because I was never strong going into sports. I honestly thought I was not going to make my college volleyball team because I couldn't bench press like more than the bar. Like you show up on like tryout day and I could run fast and I could play volleyball, but we had to do a strength test and I tried and I lifted. I didn't really truly lift weights until like maybe my senior year of high school and then going into college. And I could like literally bench press the bar, you guys. I'm proud to say I can bench press more than the bar right now. But like I thought I wasn't going to make my college volleyball team because I couldn't bench press the bar. So I loved the strength and like proving to myself how strong it could be. It taught me so much about nutrition and discipline, but obviously it's kind of like an extreme. I kind of have this like all in mentality. If I say I'm going to do something, I do it. But I loved learning about the body and like personal training, all this stuff. And I was like, this is where I'm meant to be. And then I truly found my jam, so to speak, in the group fitness studio, like showing up, going to group fitness classes, the music is playing, everyone's just there to have a good time. Yeah. And I loved it. And I was like, when I saw a fitness instructor on stage, I was like, that is me. I want to be one of those people who shows up, just like brings the energy. Everyone here shuts off their phone for an hour. Like they're truly a better person. And I loved it. And so I was like, that's what I want to do. But if you teach group fitness, you don't do it for a living because it's like lucratively, it's not. Yeah. Like you get paid maybe $35 a class and you can only teach so many classes a week. So I was like, how do I turn that into a sustainable living? And really started looking at the online space and wanting to take it online. I'm from a small town. People didn't even have access to group fitness
Where'd you grow
studios.
up?
Maple Lake, Minnesota. Okay. So, if you're like heading out on like 55, it's like Monticello, Buffalo, Maple Lake's this tiny little town, then Annandale, Kimball, St. Cloud. Yep. So tiny little town in between. And so there really isn't even like a gym. There is a gym now. I think there's like some type of like Snap Fitness, but there wasn't growing up. And so there isn't even like an opportunity to really like go to a gym or take a group fitness class. So I was
feel you on that.
What if I film these workouts and like share them with my friends and put them online? And I found food bloggers sharing recipes. And I was like, how are these food bloggers sharing recipes for free? And then just like sharing them. But somehow they're all making money. Mm-hmm. I was like, I want to learn how to do that. And so I kind of dove into that space and was like, I'm going to do that for fitness. And I read this book have you ever read a book called Blue Ocean Strategy? It's a business book. No. I love business books. And
that's right up my alley.
Like literally, you name it. Traction, Blue Ocean Strategy, Buy Your Time, Back for. I've read them all. I love that stuff. My nightstand's full of them. But like, it's all about looking at different industries and how you can apply that into a different, like apply what they're doing into a different industry. So I was like, I'm gonna take the food blogger model and apply it to fitness because no one's done that. In fitness, it's either you're a YouTuber, you have an app, or you're selling some type of ebook or personal training program or online training program. And I was like, I want to give it all away for free and make fitness free and accessible to everybody.
Love
but
that.
I still want to make money and support my family.
Yeah.
And build this business. And so that's what we did.
Yeah.
So what year, okay, bring us back. Like what year did you start this whole endeavor? Because I feel like when you started, social media was not what it is now.
No. The game has changed so much, and the game is still changing. That's what's really fun about this space, but also really scary.
Yeah.
Makes it somewhat volatile, but it makes it so fun because you never get to settle in. You are constantly adapting, and that's, I mean, so true in sports and in life. And like, I feel like that's something I do appreciate from my sports background is I feel like I have the ability to tackle new challenges seamlessly because we're constantly, nowadays it's AI, third-party cookies is going away. Like that's part of my business and how I monetize. And so we started in 2015. Believe it or not, I started by filming workout DVDs, and that's really going to date me.
Like
I found it in the
Thai
basement
bowl.
actually earlier today.
Yeah. I started filming workout DVDs, so I feel like Jane Fonda almost, like take it back. So I started by filming workout DVDs, spent my whole life, like I said, I did sales. And so I lived off my base salary and set my commission aside for 2 years and knew I wanted to launch. So I hired
What discipline though? Like honestly, and you were young, right? I mean, how many years, 9 years ago now?
Yeah, 9 years ago.
Gosh,
Yeah. I just kind of knew I wanted to do my own thing.
Yeah.
And so I did that and wanted to do it right. Like I wanted to pay someone to do my logo. I wanted to pay someone to do the video.
Yeah.
And so I spent like my life savings filming these workout videos. There were supposed to be 12 of them. We only made it through 11 because I actually had a stress fracture in my foot. And I came down in like workout number 11 after a tuck jump and totally fractured my foot. So we have 11 videos in the signature program that I have since sold to somebody. So I can't even share those videos anymore because I sold it to a fitness platform.
Oh.
So I can't even share those videos anymore. But it's
like
cool.
it's like Taylor Swift. Like
Make your own version.
Right, but I learned
Redo it. Find her clothes.
like don't sell your content, keep it. That was what I learned. But it was like really fun. It was a starting place. It got me to meet a lot of people.
Yeah. How does that come about? Did somebody reach out to you to want to purchase them, or did you find someone? Like, how did that work?
No, so it's Chris Freitag, who's a good friend of mine now. Love her. She's like the generation above me. She was my mentor, basically.
Yeah.
So honestly, when I'm starting my business, as you know, any entrepreneur knows, you are doing anything and everything when you're starting your business.
Yeah.
I was modeling. I was like a fit model, perfect size medium for Target. So I'd try on all their clothes and they'd measure them. And I was doing like Shop HQ, Evine Live. I was modeling. And so I was modeling for a lot of this fitness equipment. And Chris Freitag was like the seller. Like she would come on and she would sell it. And I was always her backup model. And so finally I got the guts to approach her after a show one time. And I was like, hey, so I filmed these workout DVDs and I really want to do basically what you're doing. Any chance you'd like mentor me, teach me how to do this? And she ended up looking at my videos and was like, bought them from me, hired me to work for her platform. So it's a total God path, right? Like he just leads you on this path. You meet the people you're supposed to meet.
But
But
it's just like you just don't know, right? I mean, like we've never met. I was like, I really want Lindsey on our podcast. Let's just reach out to her, and here you are today. So
and
super awesome.
today I'm like, oh yeah, you must know Lindsey, but nope, just reached out and you
yeah,
came.
now we do, right? That's like also the best part of my job is I get to meet a lot of cool people in the business space and just in different walks of life. And I just feel like it's all illustrated. Like you're supposed to meet people at a certain time that help like jump you, or you can connect them to jump them in their path. And so it's been a blessing to have people leapfrog me along my business journey.
Yeah. So 2015, you sell these videos. Then what's next?
Yeah. So I don't know. I thought I was going to be the next Tony Horton. I'd film these workout videos. They'd just go viral. I'd become the next Tony Horton and be like, no, like that didn't work out. I had really high hopes, but entrepreneurship is so hard and such a grind. And so I think it's so fun. Like when people introduce me now and they're like, wow, like look at your following and like you've built this. And it's like, this has been such a grind. This was no overnight success story. Like I didn't just show up on Instagram one day and like
Everybody starts at zero.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We all start at zero. And it has been a grind for the last 9 years. And I'm so glad I've stuck it out and consistently just showed up, because you just got to keep showing up. But yeah, we launched these DVDs. I ended up setting up a website to sell them, kind of set the website up as a blog with the intention to go down this like blogger route to like create more content that would lead back to my DVDs. Turns out we just scrapped the DVDs and just full pursued this like blog route. And so actually you probably don't know this, or most people don't know this. So so a lot of people think like you're on Instagram, you're on YouTube. My actual primary revenue stream, or the number one, the bread and butter of our business, is our website. And so we get about 1.5 to 2 million views a month to our website by very heavily optimizing ourselves for search. So we're very SEO driven.
Okay.
So when you type in pregnancy workouts, postpartum workouts, 7 best strength training exercises for women is like our bread and butter post. We have certain high ranking posts that just get repeat hits because they're the number 1 or number 2 posts that show up on Google.
And how do you get paid from that? Like from people clicking on your website versus YouTube?
Yep. And so it's all about eyeballs to our website. So we get paid because we place ads on our website. So I work with a third-party company. There's kind of 2 big ones in my space. It's either Raptive or Mediavine. We're with Mediavine, and they're a third party who places ads on our website. So we give away free content, but you have to deal with ads on our website. And in return for that, it's all about driving traffic. So I get paid this dollar amount based on how many views I can drive to my website. So for us, it's all about getting eyeballs to our site. That's how we're able to share free content. And then we have since, like we have built out the revenue stream. So it's all about eyeballs to the website. Then we have our YouTube channel. We have YouTube memberships. Again, YouTube is based off ads, but then now we do have a paid membership on YouTube too. And then we have brand partnerships that we work with, affiliates, and we've just started like rolling out some more. Every year we try to add one revenue stream. This year we launched merch. So our audience kept asking
Holy
for merch.
bananas,
I can't
right?
believe it. I was like, I don't want to wear a shirt that says Holy Bananas. Do people really want to wear this? Like, it kind of blew my mind, but it's been a fun new venture.
It's awesome. And I feel like go for so long. Do you feel like it's still been a grind? Or do you feel like you're finally at a point where like, I can breathe a little bit, or no?
How to answer, like, because things are so rapidly changing, like just when you finally feel like you've figured it out, things shift and change, right? So it's like, okay, we figured this out, and now this new platform launches. We figured this out, and now many chats are like on Instagram. You got to have all these chat bots set up. And then, we figured this out, and now third-party cookies is going away, which I make money off of ads being placed on my website and them knowing who you are. So we have to build out our own third-party cookies on our site. And like, it's constantly changing. So that keeps us very busy, as well as Google and YouTube always want something new. Their content, so it is a constant content, but I do feel like something I'm really encouraging my team is like, when you start a content creation business like we have, you really should be like 80% content creation, 20% marketing. Now it's time to really flip that script. We should really be marketing our core content that we have 80% of the time and creating content 20% of the time. And I know that sounds crazy because like it's so much new content, but we already have so much content and we have so much really good content. And so can we create a little bit less and give people still new content, but really push you into our core content that exists already?
Yeah.
And so that's a space we're constantly trying to live in, but I am finding more balance for sure. Hiring people and getting them in the right seats. Again, if you love a good book, Buy Back Your Time is a book that has been game changing for me in this sense. A lot of people hire to grow their business versus hire to buy back their time and end up as a CEO or as a founder of a company doing things they never really wanted to do.
Yeah.
So like I set out, I want to film workout videos. That's what I love to do. And I love running a company. I came from a sales background. I love working with brands and selling them partnerships and deals. So I want to still manage all that. But if I want to grow my company, I'm like, I'm going to hire someone to manage all of our brand partnerships. Well, then they take that on. And then I end up just doing all the invoicing and billing. And I'm like, what am I doing?
Right.
This is not what I signed up for.
No.
So hire to buy back your time versus hire to grow your business is something I've really been focusing on.
Yeah.
And so I can buy back my time. And like, that is game changing to start to get some of my time back.
Yeah. Because how many team members do you have now?
So I have 3 full-time team members, and we're all like in a zone of genius, a creative person, a copywriting person, a kind of a social media manager person. And then we have a couple contract roles too.
Okay. And so I know when you film the videos, now you have someone who else does it with you.
Yes.
What gave you that idea to have somebody else jump on board with you to do those workouts? So
Rachel's been with me the longest. She's been with me for 6, almost 7 years now. Wow. She actually was having my first baby and I was like, I need help. But I actually was at that time still teaching like upwards of 15 classes a week in person to pay Rachel. So I hired Rachel before I could afford to pay her and was still teaching a ton of group fitness classes to pay her. And so,
and this is back, what year was this?
2017.
Okay.
So 2017, Rachel joined me and she's been awesome. She started as like an intern, like a couple hours a week and slowly progressed into part-time, into full-time. And now she's like our full-time, she's our creative person. So she does all of our graphics, a lot of like the video editing, all the reels. I don't even know how to make a reel, and I don't want to know. Because I've got Rachel. I've got Rachel. Right, yeah. And she's my low impact leader. So she joins in all the videos as a low impact modifier.
Yep.
And that was really just requests we kept getting from people. If you look back to my videos that I was filming in my 20s, I was like all out. They were really hard workouts. I don't know how I did that.
No, we did some, and I mean, we did one this morning and my legs are still burning, but it's
they're very efficient.
Yeah.
And I used to give like 0 breaks. As I've gotten older, I'm like, okay, we need a break here. And a little bit less impact. But you know, as you grow, it's just so funny because you look at some of the first videos you film and you just get better. And that's the cool part.
Yeah.
Is like, if you had the following I have now when I started, like I won't want people to see that content necessarily. Like you just get better.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I'm so glad we have Rachel because she just offers such a wide variety. And we serve typically women going through all seasons of life. So a lot of guys do our workouts too because they get roped in by their wives. But like our bread and butter is females who were either athletes, because our workouts just are geared towards athletes. They're more athletic, which you just don't find out there. It's not just one plane of motion. Like I like athletic workouts. I'm a female. And you kind of lose that when you become a mom. Like, you know, my husband still got to play and he still gets to play at a very competitive level, but I had to drop back because I had pregnancies and postpartums and breastfeeding and all those things. And so it brings back the athlete in me getting to film these workouts. So we really target athletes, women who want to feel athletic and work out at home. And so our bread and butter is the woman who like gets pregnant, has her first pregnancy. It starts like searching maybe like, how do I work with this belly? I'm going to like 5 group fitness classes or the gym a couple times a week. And then they have their first baby and you realize what a luxury it is to go to the gym.
Right.
And then you start searching postpartum workouts because your body's just, it's humbling coming back postpartum.
Yeah.
And then it's a luxury to go to the gym. And they really stick with us through that life cycle of postpartum.
Hey everyone, I want to take a quick moment to tell you about the In Sports Foundation. At In Sports, we're all about helping kids get more involved in sports. We do this through providing free camps, scholarships, and team sponsorships, all to help reduce the cost of sports and getting more kids into the game. Through sports, kids can learn valuable life lessons, stay active, and maintain their mental well-being. To support our mission and help us get more kids into the game, visit our website at insportsfoundation.org to make a donation. Together, we can make a difference.
Yeah, I feel like I started doing your workouts, same early 20s, right? Jumped and then all through postpartum too, right? And I remember Max would do something, he's like, how are you 8 months pregnant and still doing them? And
seriously,
actually,
and I was working harder than I could like do these workouts.
Yeah, it's the pandemic, right? So 2020, I'm due with our middle daughter, Stella, and it's during the pandemic and it's the George Floyd riot. I mean, it's a crazy time in life, right?
Yeah.
And she was due and I was past my due date. I'm like, I just want to get this darn baby out. I'm like, okay, so me and my father-in-law literally went to our workout room and we did one of your workouts. We call it the inducer to this day. The next day, woke up middle of the night, 3 a.m., had her that morning at 8 a.m. So thank you.
Our number 3 YouTube video right now is a labor-inducing workout. It's 15 minutes long. It's called labor-inducing workout. And it truly, I'm like, don't do this until you're 37 weeks.
Don't do
like, this bad boy is meant to induce labor. And like, it's a highly searched term, actually. Labor-inducing workout, highly searched term. So yeah, that's so fun. And that's okay. And honestly, it's funny because when I got pregnant with my first, so I didn't film our pregnancy workout plans truly until actually my 3rd baby. Some in my 2nd baby, but I have 3 kids. First, I was like, it's funny because in the fitness space, I was like, no one wants to work out with a pregnant woman. I was like trying to still film these like high intense workouts. I was like trying to hide my belly in all these workouts, pretend I wasn't pregnant, was not labeling them or targeting them at pregnant women. Cause I was like, no one wants to work out. You need to have 6-pack abs if people are going to work out with you. Like have this. And then it was like dawned on me as I'm searching YouTube, there are no workouts out there for athletic pregnant women. What about the woman who was lifting 20-pound dumbbells before she got pregnant and wants to feel athletic?
Still do that, right?
It was all like, lift your leg, breathe. And I was like, snore fest. Like, can I get a workout here? And that has honestly, and so finally I was like, in my second baby, I was like, we need to film some hard pregnancy workouts. There are women who want to be challenged. And then in my 3rd, I was like, we're going for it. We're filming a solid pregnancy program. And it is so popular. And that's the first thing a mom says to me at the park. You're the first pregnancy workout that made me actually sweat. And like, I love it because it's like, you're not a wallflower. Everyone has pregnancy conditions and stipulations. And if you have to scale back, you do.
Right.
But like, motherhood requires strength. Like you see moms walking out, 25-pound toddler here, pushing a 50-pound cart of groceries, and then they go home and pick up 5-pound weights. I'm like, you are so much more capable.
Totally. Yeah. And I think that's just so powerful. I mean, I have a lot of friends too who also were like nervous to take some videos. So I feel like as a female, as a powerful female as you, your workouts are super hard, but also give this like sense of do what you can do because you have somebody who is low impact. You can push as hard as you want, or you can let up if you need to. So
Totally.
that's super cool. But
Totally.
So day in the life of Lindsey, what does that look like for you now?
Yeah. Every day is different for sure, which I still love, but we've gotten really into, I love a good calendar and time blocking. So I'm kind of crazy about like how we break it down. So typically Mondays for our team are like work from home, administrative. Everyone's like getting themselves set up for the week. We have a team meeting on Tuesday. So people are prepping. We're looking at all of our analytics. Like the answers are in the analytics. So we are constantly looking at our data and replicating what works, drawing. It's, it's like people I think, oh, they're just filming a full body workout. It's like this workout was strategically designed before we ever shot it. There's a 49-page document that outlines
Oh my gosh.
what's going to be in the workout, what the thumbnail is going to look like, what the colors we're going to wear because of this thumbnail, like what it's going to be called, what it's going to be called on Google, what it's going to be called on YouTube, how we're going to populate it and push it. Like we are very, very strategic driven. And that's what makes us be able to be a business and not just, so like when people are like, oh, influencers, I'm like, I am so much more than that.
Yeah. Well, I heard something from they're saying a guy like Mr. Beast, his document, he has like 100 pages of what his video is going to be. And people are like, oh, like that's how you need to do it. Like, it's not just, oh, let's start filming.
Totally. And you learn as you go, right? Like when we did it in the beginning, it was, let's just start filming.
Yeah.
And our most popular video on YouTube is like shot on my iPhone. I'm 6 weeks postpartum, but it served a need. It was how to heal DR. Like it served a need. So there's a little bit of both, but definitely the more you get dialed in and the more you up level, like it's a true business. Yeah. And so Monday's like our team administrative day. Everyone's like diving in, getting yourself set up for the week. Tuesday's our content shooting day. So we're either have our full crew and we're filming 4 to 5 workouts. We batch film and ideally we wouldn't have to do that, but it's like the only way to make it work right now. They come to my house. We have to film in batch in order to like hire a videographer, have awesome sound, have awesome lighting and do all that. So ideally we'd get to a point where we could film maybe 2 to 3 workouts more often. But right now,
how do you do 5 of those workouts a day?
Like we do like 4 to 5 a day.
Wow.
So it's
like a marathon, right?
It is. But we show up so like prepared. So it's just like we boom, boom. We know what we're wearing. There's like easy transition times. We film. We shoot the pictures for Pinterest. We shoot the pictures for Google Story. Like we have like this horizontal, this vertical, this thumbnail. We know exactly what we need to shoot and we crank on to the next one.
Have you been producing more content? Because I feel like it's like one thing after another. I'm like, oh, more new stuff coming out. Whereas before there would be, but I don't know. I feel like there's this new momentum within Nourish Move Love. Do you feel like that? Or?
Yeah, we've gotten more efficient and we know how to film, and also the content engine is just constantly pulling from you. And so we go through seasons. We have high seasons and low seasons. So like our push seasons, Q1, like January, everyone's super motivated. Yep. And we actually launch our summer program, which is launching right now and we're shooting, is because strategically in summer, there's a lull. So this keeps us at a very high performing level during the summer lull of like people are online less and whatever. So because of that, we take advantage and we launch a program to really keep us on track. And then back to school is people get back into routines, but Q4 is when RPMs, which is like our ad revenue, really skyrockets. Mm-hmm. So RPMs drop at the beginning of the year. So we push a ton of content at the beginning of the year to still make the same amount of money. We have to push more content. And then in Q4, we can push less content, but still make the same amount of money because RPMs
Thank you,
are
Christmas,
up.
right?
Thank
Christmas,
you, advertising spend.
Yeah.
Thank you. Actually, it's a political year, which is great for ad spend. It's like the pros and the cons of a political year. Yeah. But if you want free content, you have to deal with the ads. Yep. But yeah, Tuesday we shoot all day. It's a content day for us. We work together as a team. Wednesdays now in the summer, I'm going part-time. I'm home with my kids on Wednesdays.
Awesome.
It's my second summer ever doing this. I'm so pumped. But I typically still get up early and cap the net. You got to figure it out. But if I'm not, then it's like, then Wednesdays is like my catch up from the shoot day, and that's my day dedicated to like brand partnerships and making sure I have all of our affiliates and brand partnerships hammered out. Thursdays, we're either doing a live workout or we're doing some type of live content again, and or I'm with my team again for meetings or shooting content or filling in the gaps, building out our content calendar. And then Fridays back to like administrative day. Fridays used to be like my meeting day. Like, okay, I'll cap off, get myself set up for the next week.
Yeah. Gosh, how do you have enough energy? I feel like it's just like go. Do you get burnt out? Like, how do you keep?
You're not just showing up to do the workouts. Like you're doing all this other
it's
business
like everything.
work too.
And being a mom, right? Full time.
I have an awesome team, and I feel like putting in the right people in the right seats has been so helpful for me. So I'm so grateful for my team. They I mean, it's like, I think people think that I'm like on Instagram in the DMs every day. And like, I have a team that is helping me and that is so helpful. Like you cannot do this alone. We're putting out so much content. So my team is amazing. And they like truly love Nourish Move Love as much as I do. And so I'm so grateful for my employees and my team. And then I have an amazing husband, an amazing support system who I say is like the biggest investor of NML. He supported me through those first like 4 to 5 years when I was not bringing home a paycheck and still working this hard.
Yeah.
And so you do eventually get to a point, you know, where it's like, okay, this definitely feels worth it. I'm glad I sought out. But burnout is a real thing for sure. And especially having kids and being a business owner, like there is no true maternity leave. And so the beautiful thing is I'm finally learning to say no and like learning what I can and like, you know, I don't have to be a model on Shop HQ anymore. Like I can finally just do my own thing. And now we even get to say no to brands that maybe we want to work with. Like I had a really great brand approach us yesterday and I just said, no, we're at max capacity and it's like, come back and revisit us in the fall. But like, it's kind of cool. Like, you know, so it's like realizing, you know, where you're at. And then it's really a business decision, which is interesting that I feel like I'm faced with right now. It's like, do we want to continue to grow and have more people and get bigger? Or do I really like being where we're at? And like, I like this circle of the internet and this corner of the internet. And I just want to maintain this.
So is that where you feel like you're right now? Like trying to navigate
that like? And being a business owner and what that looks like. And so we're exploring new opportunities, you know, we actually just acquired another site for my husband.
Okay, tell me more. What does that mean?
Yeah, so you know how you can buy and flip homes? That's a thing for websites too. You can buy and flip websites.
No, wait. Is that what he does? Or
no.
Okay.
So he has a full-time job. He's a software developer.
Okay.
But he has a big interest in golf. He loves golf. Built out, and I'm so
Roast does.
golf.
Yeah, what golf?
I don't know
We might
if
have
he
to have
loves
him on.
golf or me more. Not sure.
Yeah. We moved into our house and he was like, "How do I fit a simulator in here?" And I was like,
"Oh my gosh,
is this
What's your
thing?
plan for the other side of the house?
You got plans? You got plans for a
We're going
simulator?
to workout room, simulator, and
He
then
wants to make it multifaceted so we can have the golf simulator. Like,
yeah, but
Yes.
shoot podcasting too.
Yeah,
like
that is true.
See?
Yeah.
Okay, so my husband loves golf. And the simulator is actually a really great compromise for this reason.
Okay.
He has not gone on Saturday golfing with Max. He's like, please speak into her. He's not gone for 4 hours on a Saturday morning. He is home with me. But then he goes and kicks out to the garage at night. If I'm going to like pop on and work a little bit, he's going to go golf from 8 to 9 p.m. and he gets his fix. So I am no longer abandoned on Saturday mornings. So this is a good thing for all
you
of
might
us.
need to exchange numbers. And
Okay, so this is how it was born, though.
Yeah.
Honestly, so like the entrepreneur side of me is like always turning. It's my husband and his brother. They went in on this together, but my husband and his brother are like research nerds. They built their golf simulators like by themselves, like scrapped it, whatever, did all this research, found the launch monitor, found what was best, the hitting mat and all this stuff. And then his friends wanted to build them once they came over and saw it. And he was like, oh, here, I'll send you all the links. I was like, are you sending them affiliate links? Do you know how much a launch monitor costs? If you could make 10% of that launch monitor. And I'm like, and he's like, no, I'm just like sending them the links. I'm like, this is a business. And I started researching online. I'm like, there's such a high volume for golf simulators and all this search and no one is publishing this content. I was like, we need to publish this content.
Yeah.
And so it's a total side hobby right now. He has a job. He loves his job and he also travels and plays professional beach volleyball. So he's also very busy, but it's like a total side hobby. A site came up, we put out a search. And if you are looking to buy a site, you want to buy a site that's typically 3 years old. It's starting to build some domain authority. The content is there, but the person just really didn't know how to SEO optimize it. And so that's what we're coming in to do. Like they have really great content. We're going to come in and use my knowledge from the last 9 years and make it better and make it show up on the first page of Google and put ads on it and start monetizing it.
Yeah.
And maybe sell it and flip it or maybe keep it. We don't know. It's a total side hobby project right now. We are literally in the thick of like just acquiring it. And like, I'm diving in and I'm like, oh no, this is so much work.
we might need to hire you as our consultant for SEO. And
Right? I love it. So yeah, that's just the entrepreneur side. That's like always like trying to turn everything into a business.
Yeah, but man, that's just, I mean, now my head is spinning because, okay, your husband plays professional volleyball. How does that all work within scheduling? Is he traveling a lot or how does that work?
Yeah, so he plays on the AVP, which is the domestic tour. So he doesn't play on the international tour, which we're just built so differently. I was like, you know, he's worked up to this. I remember when we were traveling and he was in the qualifiers and we're staying at Super 8s and like it was like, oh man, please just win this game so you get into the tournament. Now he's in the top 10, so he like automatically qualifies and gets to be in the tournaments. But it's really cool. I mean, he just doesn't, he's so humble. He would never give himself enough credit, but he's like one of the few guys who has like a full-time job from Minnesota, just kind of shows up and does this on the side. Yeah. It's really cool. And so because of that, we're just built differently. I'm like, you have a certain skill set God gave of you, and you are not pursuing it. You should be going for the Olympics. Like, why are you not trying? And he's just like, I never want to put that much pressure on it. He's so level-headed. He's like, I never want to make it my job or it wouldn't be fun anymore. He's like, the fact that I can show up and play and it's a hobby that basically funds for us to travel is really fun. So he's just so much more level-headed than me. And so it's really cool. But yeah, so the AVP has changed its format kind of every year. And so this year they've changed it again. So he's actually traveling less this year. A little bit during the summer months, because then if you so he has 3 major tournaments this summer. He'll play in a couple more smaller ones. And then they take the top points from that and they put you kind of into like pickleball, where they'll go into a league this fall. So the top 8 teams will go into a league where they'll play in this like 8 consecutive week tournament.
Is this nationally too, right?
So it's nationally. So this
is
is a
like
domestic tour.
2-person teams?
Doubles.
Okay.
Yeah, beach doubles. Beach
Okay.
doubles. It's the AVP domestic tour. It's beach doubles. So yeah, it's really fun. I mean, he's playing against the guys who are going to be competing in Paris in, the Olympics.
So cool.
So it's really cool. And yeah.
Does he have to go practice, or if he just seems like a natural athlete where it's like, yeah, I'm just going to go play some volleyball and play with some Olympians? Or
He is like so level-headed. He's very athletic, but he trains he's in Minnesota and he wants to be here because of our families.
Yeah.
We've like had the conversation, like, should we move to California? Because everybody's in California. So he will fly out and train with his partner in California because his partner's always in California.
Is that where he lives, or is he from Minnesota, his partner?
His partner is from California. So he used to play with his brother who was in Minnesota.
Okay.
And then his brother retired and now he plays with a guy from California always. And so he travels and he'll go out there and like train a little bit, but it's just a lot of work in the gym off season. He knows what he needs to like do. A lot of strength, a lot of legs. He does like 300 air squats every day. A lot of just like repetitive legs because that's what he needs.
Is he doing your workouts?
He does work out with me. He does work out with me, which is usually kills him in the heart rate sense because, he just works out differently, but it's good. We do work out together at least once a week.
Awesome.
But it's fun because actually he's taught me how to train differently too. And I think I bring that into my training is like, I don't have your typical like female workouts, I would say. I love the male-based portion of it, like how like push-ups and pull-ups and like true strength moves that really translate into very functional moves. I think women need more of versus just like a standing bicep curl and stuff. And so it's teaching women to do these big strength moves. And my Metcon program was actually completely based off of how he trains. He'll do like
Loved that program.
Did
I
you?
did a postpartum.
Good.
Got me back. I loved it.
It's so challenging,
Probably my
but
favorite.
it's so cool because it's like, women don't genuinely think they can do 100 push-ups,
Right.
But you can. You just have to break it up into reps. But like, that's his workouts is he'll do like 300 air squats, 200 push-ups, 200 pull-ups. Like those are his type of workouts and how he trains.
Yeah.
And so training
Reminds me
along
of CrossFit
a little bit. Yeah. But training alongside him has been like, I'm going to train this way. And I've seen personally better results that way. And so bringing that into my programs has been fun too. But yeah, he does a lot. It's cool to watch him because it's taught me how much as an athlete recovery is so important. Not something we do enough. And like, he's just really good at visualization. He rewatches matches and just visualizes, sees what he did right or wrong. And he's just so calm, cool, and collected on the court.
And how do you juggle that with 3 kids? I mean, we have 3 too, and we're like, okay, let's get out the door. Is everybody's teeth brushed? Maybe, maybe not. We're getting out the
Yep, we're still going.
The toothbrush in the car,
Yeah. It was a little bit wild. I had Brooks, my 3rd baby, and within 48 hours, my husband was on a plane off to play a volleyball tournament.
Wow.
So that's why we birthed at a birth center because I needed to get home. So I was like, we can't do the hospital. We don't have that option. He was in Hawaii when I was 39 weeks pregnant. And I was like, please don't go into labor.
No inducer, no 15-minute, whatever.
No.
Yeah.
Keep it in.
Yeah. So we've had some interesting moments we've navigated, but we both just decided on this journey we were going to support each other. Like I was going to start this business. He was going to keep the stable job. He was going to play volleyball and I was going to pick up the load with the kids and support that. And it's just been so fun that we can each have something we're working towards and striving towards in a different asset. And like, we're truly just each other's biggest cheerleaders, even though it has been complete chaos a lot of weekends.
And what do you think? Do you think your kids notice that? Like how hard you guys work and how active you are? Like, do you think that plays a role in like them seeing what mom and dad are doing?
Totally. And it's really, it's funny because like, I think the older you get, right, and you start reflecting, you look back at your parents, you're like, wow, they were good.
Yep.
And you start to appreciate your parents so much more.
Yeah.
And I just think about like, I remember those summer days waking up and like, I got to get up and do this chore list before I can go play with like all these things that my parents ingrained in me. I now am like so thankful for the chores, the hard work. My parents taught me work ethic like none other. I was never the most talented team on any of my athletes. I have very few MVP awards. I have probably all the hardest worker awards. And I just feel like that's something that you like was ingrained in me from a young age, is like, you can do anything you set your mind to, but you have to put in the work.
Yeah.
And I just think that's kind of like grown with me, and something I want to instill in my kids is like the chores and the work ethic. And them, it's the coolest now because my 7-year-old finally, like, we've been traveling to these tournaments watching my husband play for, the last decade.
Yeah.
But now my 7-year-old can finally realize that's dad on stadium court, and he sits and watches the whole time. And it puts a new pressure on my husband too of sportsmanship, truly showing what sportsmanship is on the court.
Yeah.
And my husband's such a great job of that. And it's just so cool to watch this dynamic play out of like him seeing now, like, you don't just get a show, like, you have to put in the reps. Like, daddy trains and daddy practices, and we work out together and we get stronger together to make us better. And like seeing them, having them see that, and like watching them be able to like display that is so cool.
Yeah.
And are your kids in playing sports right now? Because that's a whole nother travel scenario. Like, we feel like an Uber driver right now. Like, just driving.
And for what? Well, 2.
Yeah, 2. Our oldest 2, but are they playing?
Yeah, my oldest is in like, flag football, baseball, soccer, like he's doing that, and it's really fun to see him. Basketball, and it's been really cool too because we try to coach as much as we can because we both feel like we have that athletic background, and I love it. I love getting to coach. So we'd like show up on Saturday. I coach my 4-year-old soccer, then we transition over to the flag football field. Tim coaches the flag football games, and we just love it. Like we love sports. It's how I connect with my kids too. Yeah. And the thing that's been cool as my son's gotten older is like I was never good at sitting on the ground and doing like toy trucks and pretending, and I was like, oh, mommy's bored. I'm not good at this. Yeah. But I can throw a football with you all day and have that conversation of like, hey buddy, who'd you play with at school today? What was your thumbs up moment? Like, it's so fun to like now just get to have genuine conversation with him while we throw the football back and forth or kick the soccer ball, and like that's been really fun to see.
Our sons they'd probably get along.
Oh yeah. It is fun, and it's fun to teach them like good sports. It's fun to teach, you know what I mean? And he's like, oh, I didn't do as good as I wanted to today, and like to get to navigate these dynamics with them. And like, I mean, every kid is kind of like, not a hothead, but like, so, like they're mad. Like we, recently did like a parents versus kids in a baseball game, and I caught it and got him out on a double play, and he walks off to the bench. Like I could see the tears like starting to come, and I was like, hold it together, buddy. Like, come on, we are not crying, but it's just like to have, and then you get in the van and you're like, hey buddy, I saw that you were getting pretty bummed when I got you out. Like, that's just part of the game, right? You got to run back to that bench and hustle back.
Do you know someone who could benefit from hearing this episode? Share it with them. Whether it's a friend, a coworker, a mentor, or a former athlete or current athlete, we want to make sure that these inspiring stories touch all of those who want to hear. Well, and I feel like even our 6-year-old, it's like you also can't teach competitiveness. So we deal with that right now. We love his competitive nature, and so we're working through like, and he's naturally pretty good, but it's like you're not always going to win, and that's okay. Yeah. But working through that and just knowing like that. Yeah. So it's like that fine balance of you want them to be super competitive, but you also don't always want them to win, because when they don't, that's when they're going to be even better.
Yeah.
Like knee hockey, I got to win sometimes.
Yeah.
But at the beginning, it's a meltdown, but then you start learning like this is part of it. And
yeah.
We're saying that's why I got to get better at golf, because he can hit it farther than me sometimes.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, Mom. I'm like, I'm gonna be super competitive and beat you next time. But
yeah, it is amazing when that inner athlete comes out, and I'm like playing dodgeball, and I'm like, you're 7, you're 7, but mom still kind of wants to win,
right? Yeah, not gonna take it easy on you at all. But for parents who are juggling, who have kids in sports, who are working full-time moms, right? What advice would you give a listener who is listening right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's something we're navigating too, and we're in the thick of it. And I'm constantly having this conversation with friends of like, like this traveling this and there's traveling that. And like, we still want to have summer weekends at the lake with grandma and grandpa. And like, how do we navigate this and like not feel like my kid's getting behind, but also I'm super passionate about like, so we currently live in a big school district, and I grew up in a small town, like I'd mentioned. Yeah. Like literally, I graduated the class of 88. I got to play 3 sports, be on the honor roll, be yearbook editor. Like I got to do all the things. I feel like it made me such a multifaceted person.
Totally.
That I like, I'm so grateful for that experience. And actually I went to college to play softball and ended up playing volleyball. And like, I feel like there's so much like, I would watch these other girls on the court and they'd be like, well, it's like you're doing a layup. Like, that's how you run a slide. And they're like, how do you do a layup? And you know what I mean? Like, and I feel like now it's so crazy. We're watching all these kids who get like honed in. You got to play this sport year round. They're getting injured. They're burning out maybe. They're like, it's just different. And it's like, but you have to play at this level in order to make the varsity team. And so I'm like, how do we navigate this? Because I want my kid to play 3 sports and like have, and I don't
have that opportunity. Or it's like you're trying out in 3rd grade. Like, come on. Like,
I know.
Let them play.
And I genuinely don't know what the right answer is.
Yeah.
I do think, and research shows that like, and there's all these questions like, do I let my kid play tackle? Do I, do we, like, my kid loves flag football. That's his favorite. And we're like, okay, we're going to hit tackle. Like, what do we do? And there is research out there that honestly shows that not letting your kid play the sport is more detrimental than, you know what I mean? So there's like, I just think there's so much we learn from sports, but honestly, at the end of the day, I'm in this like struggle too, where we're torn, but I do think there can be a balance of like, you can play these sports. And right now, like my son's going to play soccer for the first time this fall at 7. And mom's like, whoa, do you think he's going to be behind? And I was like, I don't know. He's 7. Like
he can run.
He can, we'll figure it out, you know, like, and I signed him up for the wrong baseball league this season. Like I signed him up for coach pitch and he was supposed to be on the machine pitch and it was like a mom error. Like you have 2 hours to sign up. The window, I got nervous. I don't know. I hit the wrong button. We couldn't switch
Wake up
him.
at 2 a.m. and it's,
Yeah. And I was like, this is nuts. And I was like, he'll be fine. He'll be fine. Yeah. So I think we put this pressure, like everything, all the decisions. I think even when we were like contemplating like school decisions, like this is for a season, we can make a different decision. But I think what's honestly important in parents that we're forgetting or like, and that I'm like constantly telling myself is like, you know what? Us playing with them at home is just as important. Yeah. Like getting out in the backyard, playing baseball. Like we can't be at the field every night because I have 2 other kids, right? Like he gets to sign up for this, but I also have a 4-year-old and I have a 2-year-old who need to be attended to too. Right. So like all of us getting together in the backyard and like playing baseball together, like he's going to learn just as many skills, if not more, when we're giving him that one-on-one. And so I'm constantly just trying to remind myself that like, okay, if we don't get to sign up for this in this season because it's just not a good fit for us, like he's learning more going to watch his dad play and getting to be on the beach and like we're traveling and doing this. And, you know, I think we just like still being involved and like not just shipping them off and like to a sports camp all the time and like still taking some of that ownership at home. I remember throwing pitches with my dad in the driveway, shooting free throws with my dad. Like, you know, like there wasn't as many camps, but like my parents stepped in and were like, if you want to make varsity, this is your agenda for the summer. We're going to throw 100
when
pitches.
It's free.
Yeah. It's free.
Well, I mean, this could be something that we collaborate with because we've always had the vision of like, how do you get those tips to kids at home for all these different sports? What workouts can these kids be doing, you know, on their own? Very similar to what like you're doing, but more of a kid type version, but having some sport specific tips out there too. I mean, it just really fits our foundation really well to keep kids active and not just sitting on the couch and watching TV or being on their phones. And so if you're up for that, we'd love to.
I love it. I'm all about it. I'm like all about trying to find ways that, you know, we're constantly, and honestly, I think our kids, like one of the greatest discipline, and they see like this Saturday, like we got up, we didn't have any sports this weekend because we're in that like 4th of July gap. And we're like, this is glorious. We get up and like, it's like family workout. Like he gets on the bike, we get the double stroller out, we're running to the park. Then we're having a hang competition on the monkey bars, who can hang the longest in our family. And then we're going over here and we're seeing if we can climb the rock wall. Like we're just constantly, that's our family dynamic.
Yeah.
And I just love that that's our family dynamic. It's like we have their, it's like inner competition circle, but also just like, this is what we do together.
Well, and it's so interesting, you know, you talk about the parents and how much they set the tone. Like if we're having a bad day, they're going to feel that. If we're giving them good energy, giving them attention, they're going to feel that. We always do this thing at night where we say, what was the worst thing that happened today? And then we work up to like, Braxy's was like, and then what's the middle? And then what's the best thing that happened today? And the other day we were so busy, but Brax really wanted, he got this new basketball hoop in his room behind his door where he was just super excited to have it. So anyway, he's like, Dad, will you play basketball with me? Will you play basketball with me? He's like, buddy, it's time for, like, we gotta go to bed. He's like, please. So he did it with him for 15 minutes. We're in bed doing the exercise and we're like, what's your worst thing, right? He's like, I didn't get Doritos at Stella's skating lessons. And then I'm like, what was your favorite thing? And he's like, that Dad played basketball with me. You know, it was 15 minutes. So I think it's
so little. And that was the highlight of his day.
Advice for ourselves is like, slow down. Like this season of life is so fast and so chaotic, but slowing down to find those like mini moments with their kids that they'll love so much. Where it's just easy to push it off or say, oh, let's have a friend come over or, you know, entertain them in another way. But I think it's so powerful to play with your kids. I mean, I grew up from a family of 10. And I have 9 siblings. I have 6 brothers, 4 sisters. I'm the youngest. So my dad is quite a bit older. but he was such a sports fanatic, and he made me wake up every morning and do 100 free throws every single morning. I was short, and to play college basketball, I had to work, right?
Yes.
And so I feel like he instilled that hard work in me, whereas my mom was always like, you just do your best. You do your best. And she was the biggest cheerleader. But
say, whoop it in there.
Yeah, just whoop it in there. That's what she would say. But I don't know. It does just go to show how important it is to spend time with your kids. Just quality time.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think we've started to see that my 7-year-old now, it's so cool when they transition to first grade and they can start writing and reading. And he comes home and he makes us cards and it'll say like, love you, mommy and daddy. And then it'll open it up and it'll always be like me and him playing football.
Yep.
And I'm like, that's what his core like correlation between like me showing him love is right now.
Yeah.
And it's so cool to see these cards come home and I'm like, okay, we're going to do more of that. Or, you know what I mean? It's just like, it's so cool to see them start to explain to or show me like what means a lot to him. And it's always like, doing something.
We have
him.
like 20 of those same
Isn't that
same
amazing?
cards.
Like that card, you're like, and I like hang them on the fridge. I'm like, I'm never throwing this away. He's like, he told me he loves me. Right. But those are like the sweetest gifts, and you're like, this is like it. This is what he wants from me. Is like one-on-one time throwing the football.
Yep. And I think that just goes to show too, where it's you can let so many other distractions get in your way, but at the end of the day, like family is the most important, and your kids are only going to be that age that day too at the same time. So yeah, I think the competitiveness of sports now is a next level, and it's hard. You have to find that balance of what is and what isn't. And we actually talked about this a little bit earlier and on a different podcast, but we were just listening to another podcast, and it was a sports podcast where they talked about at a young age, they throw kids into these, teams at age 6, they're traveling all over the place. And it's like, no, they're not learning the fundamentals. Like take a step back. They could actually be shooting 100 hoops at home, where in a game, they may only be shooting 5.
Yeah.
And so really just taking a step back and, are you just doing it to do it? Is it going to make them better or not? So I think there is such a fine balance of figuring out where it makes the most sense.
And I think as high performers, like, so I'm an Enneagram 3, I'm an achiever. Like I have like these expectations for myself, and then you just kind of place those on your kids without realizing. Like I had a conversation with my girlfriend who's like super awesome. Her company's all about mental health and kids. And she's just like, after all of my years working with kids with like, any type of mental health issue, average is so good. And so that's something that I'm really just letting hang out with me is like, average is so good. Average is so good. Like, I just want him to know like work ethic is important to me. Like average is great, but you get out, you run to the bench. Like, like average is good as long as you're a great human, you're a great teammate. You truly leave your team feeling better. And like, that you play your hardest and you work your hardest. Average is great. And if my son is average, awesome. If we never make varsity, I don't care. Like, like I'm starting to like hang out like that. Like sports were so important to me.
Yes.
And it felt like life or death. And I still have that free throw that I missed, like talking about
totally.
like in high school that lost the game. And I still know that pitch I threw too high and state tournament. Like I still remember all those things. And like, it felt like I was wearing the world. No one remembers that stuff. Like it's never like it's all disappears now. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, so it's like average is so good.
Yeah. Okay. So did she give any tips on, we have a program called Be the Best You curriculum, and it's a curriculum that kind of focus on 3 different pillars that we talk about. Either we do a Q&A with an athlete, but we always do it for our in sports days, our camps that we put on. And so we talk about goal setting, and then we talk about self-regulation, and we talk about self-confidence. Is there like anything in there, like little nuggets where she has provided you some insight on how to help your kid self-regulate or gain confidence in something?
It's funny because I was actually asking, I have a group of girlfriends that I meet with we try to get together quarterly. Yeah. And they all either own their own businesses or are pretty high performers. We all played on the same college volleyball team together.
Oh, crazy.
And so we also live here. There's 4 of us who live in the cities, and we get together. And I sat at the table with them and I said, we met like a week ago, and I was like, you guys, I am just so curious. Like, when I hang out with you guys, it's just different. And like we're all women who just have this certain level of confidence. Yeah. And not to be like, you do whatever, like everyone lives, but like I have no desire for Botox, filler, like all this stuff. Like I'm just confident. Yeah. And like, where did that come from? And when I met you, you were confident. And when I met you, you were confident. And like, did it come from sports? We all played on the same volleyball team. Did it come from like, we're just confident women. Yeah. And I'm like, where did this come from? And so I asked her, because I'm like, like this is what you study. Yeah. And she's like, it is the resilience pattern, right? Like and we went back to like my parents, like how you were like, it's that resilient pattern. Like I was taught like you got to complete this before you can do this. And like, it was just pushed back on me. My parents weren't, it was resilience. I was just taught that at a young age. Like, you didn't make varsity, you got to shoot more free throws. You didn't, you know what I mean? It was like, you just were taught this pattern from a young age. You didn't complete your chore list, there's a consequence. And like, it was just repetitively ingrained in me. And I believe confidence comes from doing what you said you were going to do. So once I ran that marathon, I was confident I could run another one. Yeah. Once I did that fitness competition, I was confident I could do another one. If I say I'm going to get up at 5 a.m. and work out and I don't do it, I lose my confidence as a woman.
Yeah.
If I say I'm going to get up at 5 a.m. and work out and I do it, my confidence scale goes up for the day.
Yeah.
Like, doing what you said you were going to do. And I think that's something like we can pass on to our kids, right? It's that follow through. Like, you said you wanted to do this, buddy. You said you wanted to play soccer this season. You're going to play the whole season. You don't get a cop out and quit. Like, mom and dad pay for this, or maybe you even have to buy some skin in the game and you have to put some money on the table too. We've talked about that with our son. Like, okay, if you want to do this, maybe you have to put some money on the table too. Like, you got to buy your soccer, like, you got to buy your sneaker. Like, like, it's like having them have a little skin in the game too. And that resilience factor and doing what you said you were going to do, just that builds that confidence.
Yeah. And I think too, like, sometimes just getting there is the best step forward, right? Just like, but I also think that's the hardest piece, to like get there.
Yeah.
Because do you think resilience is intrinsic, or do you think it's also taught, innate, like a combination?
Definitely both. I think, like some kids are just naturally more resilient. My middle kid, resilient. Yeah. She's just more resilient. She just bounces back. She's like, I don't know if it's a kid thing or a, what do you call it, birth order thing.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't know, but like, I do think it's also taught too. And like, you learn by doing, and you learn by having standards. And I think it comes back to something I've been thinking a lot as a manager. So I've always been a hard worker, like I said, and I've always led by example. I was the captain of my volleyball team, and I led by example. And leading by example has gotten me through a lot of things in life. Yeah. But now I'm at a level where I can no longer lead by example for my team. I don't want my team working at midnight, and like, that's something I'm doing. That's not leading by example. Like, how do I teach my team to take ownership and be empowered? And like, leading by example just doesn't always work. And I need to find a new management strategy. And that's something I'm working through, and I'm reading all the management books and right. Cause like my lead by example is always just work harder, do more, work harder. Like, that's no longer serving me, and it's not serving my team. So how do I manage them? And I think it comes back to, like, you guys know SOPs, right? We all work in business, like standard operating processes. Yep. Every good sports team has them. This is what we do before a game. This is what we do after a game. This is how we handle this conflict on our team, like standard operating processes. We have the same thing in business and the same thing in our household, right? If my son, I don't take work back. So if my son, I ask him to empty the dishwasher and he doesn't do it right, I don't just go fix it for him. I say, hey buddy, that wasn't up to mom's expectations. I wanted the forks to go here and the spoons to go here. Could you come back and fix that for me? It's the same thing in business. I've been taking work back. My team sends me something, I take it back. I'm up till midnight. I fix the problem. They don't learn anything, and they just learn that I take work back. Instead of kicking it back and saying, hey guys, this wasn't up to our standard. We have a standard operating process. This didn't meet it. Can you give me these 5 things by tomorrow end of day and help us meet that standard? And I think that applies to like your everything, right?
Totally.
Oh, yeah. But I have a hard time dealing with conflict. I don't want to let people down, make them feel upset. How do you approach that?
That's why I'm struggling with that as well. Also struggling with that. I recently went to like a conference that was geared towards work, and he was like, you have to stop taking work back. Like, you're literally doing your team a disservice by not giving them the knowledge and the skills they need to do their job. And then like, you're not empowering them. You're just taking it back. Yeah. And so it's more so just looking at it as like, I'm doing a disservice to my son if I don't tell him this and I just take the work back. I'm doing a disservice to my teammate if I don't do this. And so conflict resolution is really hard, but I found it easier the more you practice it. Obviously, practice makes perfect, like anything. But to have like we have like two one-on-ones like every 2 weeks, and that's my chance to lay it on the table. So if I don't say it, then I have to let it go. I can't let it build up. So it's like, hey, we have this meeting. I'm going to tell you at this meeting, like, here's what's not up to par. Here's what is up to par. That's my chance to say it. If I don't say it, then like, I got to let it go. Yeah. So like having frequent like actual calls to action. Right. And I think perspective and delivery is huge too, right? I think delivery for me being a leader on a team, it's all about, I mean, you can phrase it one way and make them feel like garbage, or you can phrase it in another way where you're empowering them to be better. So always trying to keep that mindset when you're giving constructive criticism. For sure. We use Clifton Strengths a lot. Do you use Clifton Strengths? And so looking at it through the lens of, okay, your shadow here is shining through because of XYZ, right? Yeah. It's not like you're bad at it. It's just saying maybe you aren't naturally gifted in this area. And so let's figure out a way for you to work through that. And then maybe we shift some things around.
and you don't know what you don't know. So maybe you never knew how to make a reel the right way. And but it's all teaching moments. And if you do it out of not out of more criticism than hey, you're bad at this. No, this is how we want to do it. And it makes the whole company better, team better, whatever it is.
And then you all know you have this, expectation is the root of all heartache. This is the company expectation. If we don't meet it, that's where the problem comes from. It's when expectation.
Right. And I think mind reading. Nobody can read your mind. So if you can't deliver the communication in an effective way, nobody knows. No. And that's from a professional, that's personal. The other day, I think there was something in my mind. I'm like, oh, why didn't Max do that? I never told him. Intrinsically, that didn't come naturally to you. So how are you supposed to know, But having that maturity and having that perspective to think that way is not always natural too,
For sure. I finally told my husband, I was like, I'm sick of being disappointed on Mother's Day. Here are my expectations. The kids are old enough. I want them to make a card saying, I love mommy for this reason. That's all I want.
Yep.
And it maybe take dinner off my plate that night. I don't need any big fancy gifts. I don't need a spa day. The kids need to acknowledge it's Mother's Day. I need a handwritten card from all of them telling them why they love me. Yeah. And then I'm happy.
So have they done that?
Moving forward, mother, I get a handwritten card from every kid.
This happened this Mother's Day.
Yes. Oh yeah. I'm no longer disappointed.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, once again, we're not mind readers. And so you have to figure out a way to communicate and know that you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Awesome. Well, Lindsey, it was so awesome to have you on the podcast. Is there anything else that you want to say, or how can people find Nourish Move Love? Where do they go? What should they look out for?
Yeah. NourishMoveLove.com is where you can find all of our stuff, or you can find us on YouTube or Instagram at Nourish Move Love. All of our content is 100% free, and that's always been the heart and soul of my business. Make fitness free and accessible to everybody. And so that's what we do. You just have to put up with some ads along the way.
Well, I've been following Lindsey's journey for years and going to continue to do so. Her workouts are amazing and your content is fantastic. So thanks for all you do.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys.
Thank you for tuning in to the Athletes in Sports podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please take the time to follow, subscribe, on all the channels. This is how we can continue to bring these inspiring stories to you and make a bigger impact to get more kids into the game.